Did you know that Mbappe, who almost won France's second World Cup in 2022, was supposed to play for Cameroon? Or did you know that Lionel Messi, who could have been one of Spain's greatest forwards in international football? Well, there are other footballs like this who betrayed their countries too, and one of them was even almost killed for it. Who are these players and why did they betray their countries? Come along for the ride to find out. Messi was born in Rosario, the largest city in central Argentinian province of Santa Fe. Both his father, George Messi, and his mother, Kalia Maria, were Argentinians, and he also played for Argentina. But what other country did Messi have the chance to play for? When Messi started playing for Newell Old Boys, some scouts from Spain were watching his moves. It wasn't a matter of time before Barcelona snapped up the 13-year-old youngster. Having joined the club at such a young age with immense talents, Messi caught the eye of football authorities in Spain, and they began to court him. When Messi was ready for senior football, the Spanish Federation called him up to be part of La Furia Roja, the Spanish national team. But the little magician only wanted Argentina, the country of his birth. One can only wonder how Messi would have felt when Spain won the World Cup in 2010. Thankfully, Messi won the World Cup in his country of origin in 2022. Our next footballer also won the World Cup, but not in his country of origin, Kylian Mbappe. Despite his young age, Kylian Mbappe is already a household name in the world of football. The 24-year-old PSG forward is considered one of the game's brightest stars, having played in 2 World Cup finals for France, winning one and scoring a historic hat-trick in the second. Mbappe began his career with the local team, AS Bondy, before scouts from Monaco convinced the young footballer to join their youth academy. With a successful debut in Ligue 1, Mbappe was being courted by the French national team, but they were not the only ones approaching him. Mbappe's father is Cameroonian, so Cameroon also had their eyes on him. Unfortunately for the latter, Mbappe said he felt more like a Frenchman than a Cameroonian, so he went with France and won the World Cup in 2018. The young Speedster could have also starred for Algeria if he wished, because his mother, Faiza Lamari, was of Algerian descent, and she wanted him to play for the North African side. It would have been interesting to watch Kylian Mbappe battle it out on the field with his PSG best friend, Achraf Hakimi, in the African Cup of Nations, just like the 2022 World Cup semifinals. The next player on the list played in the African Cup of Nations as well, and in fact won the tournament, presenting to you Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez is an Algerian professional footballer who plays for Manchester City and the Algerian national team. Mahrez was born in Sarcelles, France, to parents of Algerian descent. He began his professional career with Le Havre in France and was part of their first team for 3 years. It was during this period that Algerian national team began to court Mahrez and asked him to join their ranks. Mahrez also received some attention from French football authorities, but he decided in 2014 to play for Algeria. His brother described the decision as one taken to honor his late father, who had died of a heart attack when he was just 15. He might be a famous football star, but not many people know that Mahrez was once considered too small for professional football. Scouts often overlook the tricky winger. He stood at just 5 foot 10 inches and weighed 154 pounds. At 18, Riyad Mahrez was yet to sign a professional contract, unlike many of his teammates, and this frustrated him, but he was determined to become a professional footballer. Today, he's one of the most popular names in football. Next on this list is a footballer who was kicked out of his boyhood club for being too small, Declan Rice. Declan Rice is a professional footballer who plays for West Ham United at the England national team. Before joining West Ham, Rice was part of the Chelsea Football Club Academy. At 6, he joined academy mates with Reece James and his buddy Mason Mount. At 14, Chelsea released him for lacking in physicality section, even though he was going through a growth spurt at the time. Although Rice was born and raised in England, he was part of the Republic of Ireland's youth setup. In 2017, he won the Irish U17 Player of the Year award. Born to paternal Irish grandparents, he made 3 non-competitive senior appearances for Ireland before England came knocking. It took him a while, but eventually Declan Rice switched his allegiance to England in February 2019. FIFA confirmed the switch in March. Declan Rice's switch of allegiance to England was met with bitterness in Ireland, as it was viewed as a terrible decision by a player who was touted as a future captain of the Irish national national team. However, the 21-year-old midfielder has since become an integral part of the England team and has established himself as one of the country's most talented young players. Playing alongside his best buddy, Mason Mount, Declan helped England reach the final of the Euros and was a recent mainstay at the World Cup in Qatar. Gonzalo Higuain is a professional footballer who played for the Argentinian national team for many years. He was quite prolific for the Albiceleste, scoring 31 goals in 75 games. But did you know that Higuain could have also played for France? Here's why. Higuain was born in Brest, France, to parents of Argentine descent. He began his professional career with River Plate in Argentina and was part of the first team for 2 years. It was during this period that something interesting happened to him. On Thursday, November 9th, 2006, the 18-year-old Gonzalo Higuain was included in a French squad to play Greece in an international friendly. It was a surprise move by Raymond Domenech, the French coach at the time. The whole country waited for Higuain's response with bated breath. However, the French Football Federation received a fax from Higuain's father the next day stating that his son had no wish to play for France. Raymond Domenech was livid, and the other people in France too. To make matters worse, Higuain had not even committed to Argentina then. He turned down France, one of the world's football heavyweights, at 18. Higuain was also turned down for Argentina when they came calling. But in 2008, the prolific striker eventually accepted an invitation to play for the Argentina squad at the Olympics. He scored 2 goals in his unofficial debut, and in 2010, he was given a call-up by Diego Maradona. He accepted and scored on his debut, and became an integral part of the Argentinian team, helping them to be a runner-up finisher at the World Cup in 2014 and a third-place finish at Copa America in 2015. The next player on our list also snubbed France, and one other football heavyweight in favor of his country of origin, although he probably would have had a more illustrious international career playing for either of the European heavyweights. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was born in Laval, France. His father, an ex-professional footballer, was a former captain of the Gabonese national team, so perhaps that made things a bit awkward for Aubameyang. Even though he had previously played for French youth teams, Aubameyang said he chose to play for Gabon because he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. But it wasn't just France. Aubameyang was also eligible to play for Spain through his mother's nationality. He may be Gabon's captain and their all-time goal scorer, but still we cannot help but imagine how many international trophies he would have won if he had chosen to play for either of these two European giants. Although Zaha was born in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, he was so talented he became part of the England team's youth setup very early in his career. Unlike Aubameyang, Zaha even made 3 senior friendly appearances for England. In his case, he wanted to play for England, but he wasn't getting call-ups. Even though the coach wanted him to be patient, Zaha wanted international football desperately, and as a result, switched his allegiance to Ivory Coast in 2018. The news was received with a stir in England, as many had seen him as a future England star based on his performances for Crystal Palace in the English Premier League. Zaha settled into the Ivory Coast team and made history on March 29, 2022, when he lined up against England in an international friendly, a team he made 3 appearances for. Although Zaha received criticism when he switched allegiances to Ivory Coast, it wasn't as bad as receiving death threats. Well, we can't say the same for Diego Costa. Diego da Silva Costa was born in Lagarto, Brazil, to parents of Spanish descent, and his first international call-up came in 2013. The player was playing for Atletico Madrid when Felipe Scolari invited him to play in 2 friendlies for Brazil. However, things changed when the Spanish national team sent a request to FIFA asking for permission to call up Diego Costa to the Spanish national team. The news was further confirmed when Costa wrote to the Brazilian Football Confederation, stating that he wanted to play for Spain. The uproar generated by this controversy was huge, but Costa was no stranger to controversy. Brazil even tried to revoke his citizenship. Worse, Costa received death threats for turning his back on his country. It must have been quite a tough time for the center forward, but he pulled through. What other footballs do you know who betrayed their countries? Let us know in the comments section down below, and thanks for watching.